Hey guys, it's History Behind the Warrior and welcome back to yet another Mortal Kombat video. Now in today's video, with the Mortal Kombat reboot only being a mere 2 months away, today I wanted to express my own personal thoughts on the film, what I've heard about the reboot and whether or not I think it will be any good. I know some people, including myself, are rather skeptical on the project, as well as whether or not it will be good, but in order to do so I will be talking about its troubled production, a brief history on video game movies, the early drafts of the Mortal Kombat movie script I've heard, casting, and finally my thoughts on whether or not I think this will be a hit or a bust. Now, for those of you who don't know, this movie has had a very troubled production, dating all the way back to about 2009, where Warner Brothers purchased the Mortal Kombat license from Midway, who was at the time filing for bankruptcy and selling off their remaining assets. Of course, with the license purchase, in 2011, the series was successfully revived under the team of NetherRealm Studios, the same team that existed in Midway. It's also around this time when an 8-minute short known as Mortal Kombat Rebirth was created, designed with the purpose in mind to gain the attention of Warner and have them see the value of the license. Now, after the success of Mortal Kombat 9, the movie was finally greenlit, but unfortunately due to limited funding, the project never really took off, and thus instead we got Mortal Kombat Legacy, a somewhat spiritual successor to Mortal Kombat Rebirth, but with a fraction of a movie budget. Legacy only lasted for 2 seasons and got mixed receptions from fans, before it was ultimately scrapped, as director Kevin Tantron had grown tired of waiting for the studio's response, and thus the movie was left on the shelf. Now this all happened in late 2013, and it wasn't really properly picked up again up until 2016, but this is actually a good thing. It's here where the film finally started to catch some traction, with multiple different early drafts. But luckily, a lot of these were very quickly thrown under the carpet, because dear lord, I'm gonna be talking about one of them, and it's bad. Like it's terrible, and I have to talk about it because Jesus Christ. Now back on topic, in 2016, the film would finally take shape with James Wan falling into the role as producer, Simon McCoy as director, and a longtime Mortal Kombat fan being Greg Russo as the screenwriter. With a new team and script finally put together, Warner Brothers would allow the Mortal Kombat project to kick off in early 2019, with casting taking place over the next few months. Once the cast was assembled, in the later half of 2019, filming would take place in Australia, lasting roughly 4 or so months, as it did finish in December. Now, unfortunately, during 2020, as we all do know, the world was caught in the clutches of a global pandemic, and thus post-production of the film became problematic. So it left many of us wondering, what was this project's ultimate fate? Will it see the light of day? Well, as of December 2020, we were finally given some form of clarity. The film would be releasing in 2021, but with a new release date. Instead of January the 15th, it is now April the 16th, and will be available in both theaters and HBO Max. It's also only up until recently where we've got some on-set photos of what the actors will look like in costume, and I have to say, so far it does look very promising. In terms of set design and costumes, everything looks really good and everyone does fit into their roles. But does this mean it will be good? Well, if you aren't familiar with video game movies, you're honestly kind of doing yourself a favor. Video game movies have been known to be notoriously bad. Terrible to the point where they're kind of unwatchable. Looking at you, Tekken 2 Kazuya's Revenge, you suck ass. Now, with this kind of being universal across the board, it's understandable that not many would have faith in this film. It's only up until recently where there's been a video game movie that's kind of broken that glass ceiling, but it seems to be a dime a dozen. Back in the 90s, it was the first Mortal Kombat movie, but then its legacy was instantly tarnished by Annihilation. I'm not even gonna touch that beehive, but it seems like we're now in an age where the tide could possibly turn. You see, with the recent success from the Sonic movie, that received a lot of backlash on release due to the original design. Once the studio stepped back and made some alterations, it clearly showed that they cared, and that now they were taking a step in the right direction. Another sign of things possibly changing is the success of the Netflix Witcher series. Yes, I know it's based off the book series of the same name, but let's face it, if it wasn't for the games, then it wouldn't be as popular as it is. Anyway, back to it, we may be in an age where this genre could finally shake off its rust and flourish. Let's not quickly forget that for a long time the superhero genre suffered from a lot of really bad duds, and they still kind of do till today. But eventually, with the right talent and creative mind, We ended up getting Iron Man, Spider-Man 2, and The Dark Knight. Movies that kind of exceeded the expectations for the genre and pushed beyond what a superhero movie can just be. From here, we had a dawn of superhero movies that, I'll say it, exceeded everyone's expectations. It has laid a new foundation in cinema and basically has become its own thing. There are two different studios creating cinematic comic book universes for us, the audience, to be invested in. That's the level of success they are at now. But in saying that, I'm not trying to say that this movie will be the next Iron Man or Dark Knight of the video game movies. I think that would be me hyping it up to an unreasonable degree, but I do think things can definitely change for the genre. I think that if this movie even turns out well, then it could allow for some really interesting adaptations of games and possibly help push up the bar of what people expect from video game movies. This could be really healthy for the genre as a whole, and whilst the synopsis definitely does raise some of my own concerns, I don't outright believe that any of these changes will actually make it bad. There's a lot of potential here for something special. The cast alone kind of guarantees that. Whilst no one here is really of AAA status, it cannot be denied here that the actors here are extremely talented with what they do. Having Ludi Lin, Jessica McInerney, Lewis Tan to name a few. Everyone here is really talented. But there is one actor in particular that definitely does catch my attention, and that is Joe Taslim. He's the actor who played Sergeant Jakar in The Raid, and if you haven't seen The Raid or its sequel, and you are a Mortal Kombat fan, you are firmly doing yourself a disservice, as these films have some of the greatest choreography and action framing I've ever seen. It's really good, and I strongly encourage any of you to please check out those films. So please, if possible, go do that. Go watch that film, then come back, or better yet, do it after watching this, just so it gives you an idea of what Joe can bring to the film set. And this dude is playing Sub-Zero. That's what I'm really excited about. Now, excitement aside, there is one concern amongst the cast that I do have, and that is Sissy Stringer, who is playing Melina. Now, the reason I'm saying this isn't because she's a bad actress. It's not that at all, but it's because amongst the rest of the cast, Stringer does not have many acting credentials under her, and even whilst doing some research for this video, I was only able to find 3 films next to her name, so I don't know what to expect from her in this film. Now yes, it could be a case of she just plays the bad guy, so she's probably gonna get killed off, which again, I understand, but let's not forget, this is Melina, a long-time fan favorite and easily the most demanded character for 11's roster. Those are big shoes to fill, so will Stringer be able to live up to everyone's expectations? Honestly, I don't know. I can't say I'm familiar with her work to judge, and I think we'll only be able to say something once we watch it. So I do have faith. I just hope she's able to knock it out the park and exceed everyone's expectations. But I don't feel like I'm wrong here for expressing my slight worry with the choice. Now that being said, dear Lord, do you know one of the early drafts of this script? No? Okay, well, I'm about to tell you. Now, there are 2 huge things I'm well aware about when it comes to the early drafts of the Mortal Kombat movie. Cole Young was formerly known as Cole Turner and had existed way before screenwriter Greg Russo was on the project. He's more than likely a new character pushed by the studio to bring in new members of the audience, which is for the most part understandable. Do I agree with this choice? Not necessarily, but okay. Let's see where this goes. Now, unlike her current premise, this film wouldn't be based in Outworld or a fictional realm of Mortal Kombat. It would instead be set in modern day society. Sounds troubling already, right? Well, don't forget, Rebirth had the same approach and people loved that teaser. Truth be told, Rebirth is not a good or accurate depiction of Mortal Kombat at all. It's instead an extremely edgy modern take on how the universe could be blended into modern day society. It's honestly not a great depiction of the series. But that being said, this early draft is clearly based pretty heavily on Rebirth. But where does Cole fit into this? Well, from what I'm aware, Cole was written as a petty deadbeat dad who accidentally gets killed. Whether it's in a gang shootout or whatever is unknown to me. But what I do know is that upon his death, his soul would be cast to hell, and he would make a deal with they wanted to make him Scorpion. I'm gonna spare you the details. The original plan was to turn Cole Turner into Scorpion. Now fortunately, this is one of many drafts that didn't make it off the cutting room floor. But Jesus man, this is a this is a really bad idea and would have 110% tarnished the license on a huge scale. So needless to say, but I'm happy this idea was scrapped. This should not have been a thing at any point. Luckily, that doesn't seem to be the case now, but it kind of terrifies me when I think about what could have been. Now, with all of this being said, do I think the film will be good? Honestly, I don't know. It's not that I want to dislike it. I really want to see this movie, but for me, it's a form of anxious excitement. My big worry at the moment is that it seems to be juggling a lot of ideas. It's attempting to stay loyal to the series, but is also trying to appeal to a new audience with a new character. It's bringing forth a lot of characters onto the screen, but how exactly is it going to juggle them? Will our beloved characters take center stage? Or is Cole's role pivotal to the main plot? Possibly so pivotal that it may steal other character moments. That's my big worry right now. I don't want this film to be an overfilled cesspool of ideas and concepts, so I'm hoping with a decent runtime, everyone gets a chance to shine, even if it is for a brief moment. I really want this movie to be good, but I feel like there's a lot of different variables on the table right now, and I mean, we haven't even got a trailer yet, so I kind of feel like I'm justified in my worries. All we've been getting are snippets and teasers, but nothing with some actual substance and meat on it. That's probably why I'm so nervous about the whole situation. Whilst I really like Lewis Tan, I am worried about the inclusion of Cole Turner, because I don't want him to be forced into the main character role of the film, because I don't want him to be thrust into the center to the point where the film is, you should like this character is a thing, you need to like this character. I want it to feel natural, and that's something I'm hoping it will be. Now, this film doesn't need to play anything out like the events of any other Mortal Kombat tournament, because I mean, for God's sake, we've had about 20 different interpretations of the first 3 games. I need something new and fresh. Like, I don't hate the idea of Cole, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't 100% okay with him being in. Now, with that said, I'm hoping that with Lewis Tan behind the wheel, we could get something very memorable. But in also saying that, I'm still trying to forget about Alice from Resident Evil, and it's been a long while since we've had one of those movies. So I don't feel like my opinion here on the film is unjustified. I definitely think I'm worried for the right reasons. I'm just hoping I'm proven wrong here, and that this movie will blow my mind. Now, with that being said, what are actually your thoughts on the movie? Do you think it will be any good? Do you think that some of my worries are justified? And also, what do you think of that early draft? But yeah guys, please do voice your opinions down in the comments below. This is something I'm very intrigued to hear about, as I know everyone kind of has something to say about this movie, and it does leave me in a very weird state of anxious excitement. But yeah guys, please do comment down below. Hopefully there will be more news over the coming weeks, but until then, that's been it for me. So if possible guys, before this video wraps up, if possible, let's try getting it to about 500 likes, and please do not forget to tick that bell, as it will keep you up to date with all of my content. But until then, please comment, like, subscribe, and share this video with everyone you know. Please take care, and I'll see you all next time.